What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks. Have you ever won the lead really hard and then somehow still ended up losing the game, and after the game you're sitting there wondering, how in the heck did I lose that when I had such a favorable matchup pretty much throughout the entire game? And what's most likely the cause of this that I found, especially with newer players, but even with experts and all skill level ranges, there is you're most likely struggling in the secondary matchup, meaning if you win the lead really hard and your opponent switches out, you're either very slow to respond on what Pokemon to bring onto that Pokemon for the secondary matchup, or you end up losing switch advantage because of this secondary matchup. For me personally, I tend to make these mistakes when I'm running lots of new different teams and I still haven't really worked out the synergy between all three of the Pokemon. And so what we're going to be doing today is analyzing a bunch of scenarios where on paper I should have clearly won the game. Like, just based on team comp, I should have won, but because I either made an extremely slow swap onto the secondary matchup, or I panic clicked the wrong Pokemon because I was not expecting that to come out, I ended up losing the game. So I hope you all appreciate videos like this and that we can learn from this together. This is at the 3200 rating, so it doesn't matter how high of rating you get or how good or skilled of a player you are. Everyone makes mistakes, and I know I especially make mistakes when I'm playing new teams. So the team that I'm running today is G-Fisk, Pelipper, Venusaur. It's a pretty meta team, and I think it's really solid. This is a great alternative team if you don't have a Tropius. You can use a Venusaur instead, but I still think that the team is really strong. So let's get into this first battle here, alright? So I'm leading G-Fisk into Haunter. I'm going to be periodically pausing the video and explaining what's going on here. G-Fisk into Haunter, extremely favorable matchup because most likely they're running Shadow Punch and Sludge Bomb. So I know this is a really good lead. Let's see, they insta swap into an Obstagoon. Now, I made two mistakes here. First of all, I was a little slow to the swap. I was not expecting an Obstagoon to come in, and even though I was looking in the top right hand corner at the typings, this kind of took me by surprise. So I was slow to the swap. Second of all, I should have brought Venusaur in on this, right? Because Venusaur is bad against Haunter, and Venusaur also resists the counters from Obstagoon, and the Frenzy Plants hit for a lot more damage than these Weather Balls will. So let's play this out and see how this goes. I'm behind on energy. I know that the Obstagoon gets to the Night Slash at the same pace that I get to the Weather Ball, but again, I'm behind on energy here. They get the boost, so this is very bad for me. Obviously, this is something that I can't control. But I have to deal with it. The unfortunate thing is that I now know that I'm gonna lose switch advantage. If I were to have brought in Venusaur here, even if I would have lost switch advantage, it wouldn't have been as punishing because Pelipper can still hang with Haunter. Venusaur is gonna struggle against Haunter, and that's definitely the matchup that I'm gonna unfortunately be stuck in. I do my best to kind of negate this mistake by getting all the shields down here. So this guarantees that Venusaur can at least land a Frenzy Plant on the Haunter. I lost switch. I had a very favorable lead, and I lost switch. Obviously, they did boost, so that was unfortunate, but they're still ripping off Night Slashes. They actually double boosted, so really bad for me. They bring out the Haunter here, obviously. I have to throw this Frenzy Plant. It's not going to KO. But let's see what's in the back, because I'm definitely going to switch out right here. And it's an Azumarill. It's an Azumarill. So, on paper, this should have been a very clear-cut win, right? I have G-Fisk on the Haunter. I have Venusaur on the Obstagoon. And I have Pelipper on the Azumarill. Should be very cut and dry win, but obviously my opponent did boost in that secondary matchup. That's something that I can't control. But what I can control is actually bringing a more solid response to the Obstagoon onto the Obstagoon, which should have been my Venusaur. Most likely they were using the Obstagoon to bait out a Venusaur anyways, but I still had Pelipper to handle Azumarill. So nice play by my opponent, really big mistake on my part there. In this next battle, G-Fisk into Pelipper. This is somewhat of a neutral lead. You get to Rock Slide and Weather Ball at the same pace. So let's see what happens here. We're staying in, and we're both trying to get in an extra fast move, because that actually flips the matchup. Pelipper wins CMP over G-Fisk, and so he does get an extra wing attack in there, so I know that I'm going to lose this opening matchup. Okay, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? My opponent switches out into G-Fisk, and I'm staying in. Because this is, again, I was not expecting a G-Fisk safe swap here. And my thought process here is I have so much loaded energy, maybe I'll throw some energy on this G-Fisk and then eventually get out. But if I bring my Venusaur onto a loaded G-Fisk, I might lose swap. If I bring my Pelipper onto a loaded G-Fisk, I'm definitely going to lose swap. So I'm kind of in a tough spot here. Let's see what I end up doing. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide bait and start to get shields down. They still have the Pelipper, which both my own Pelipper and Venusaur equally struggle against. This Galarian Stunfisk is not in Frenzy Plant range. I do shield up the Earthquake, which is good for me. But this is kind of wild already, because most likely my opponent is just going to go for another Earthquake here. They let that go. I would assume that they just go for another Earthquake here. That's a very smart play on their part. I'm farming up as much as possible, but I don't want to get hit by a Rock Slide, so I force the CMP tie here. Now this is bad, because my Venusaur is in a health range where I can be wing attacked down before I get to Frenzy Plant. Very, very bad. Really, really bad for me. So I'm going to bring out my Stunfisk and just sacrifice it here. Right there, I had another option as well. I could have brought out my Pelipper instead and hoped that they would have blind through a Weather Ball like that, assuming that I still had a Rock Slide stored. The reason that they insta-threw that move right there is because they remembered that I had residual energy on my Stunfisk, and so they forced the CMP and it took it out. If I would have brought my own Pelipper out onto their Pelipper, would have absorbed the Weather Ball damage and would have been a little bit safer for me. It's an Abomasnow in the back. And this is really unfortunate for me. If I still had my G-Fisk here, I would be in a much better scenario. I do let the Weather Ball go through. I'm really hoping that this Weather Ball bait is successful. And it is. So I know I'm going to be able to get to this Hurricane, but my opponent still has a little bit of residual energy on their own Pelipper. And I'm not going to be able to get to a Weather Ball in time. Weather Ball would not have KO'd that Abomasnow at that range. So, very close game. Again, I'm very slow to react. I was very slow to react on bringing my Venusaur out on the Galarian Stunfisk. Whenever I see a G-Fisk swap in like that, I should just bring in my Venusaur immediately like that. And then the other mistake was not bringing my Pelipper out when their Pelipper had loaded energy. Good game to my opponent. Okay, this is obviously a terrible lead. So let's see if I make any mistakes here. I am able to use my Pelipper safe swap, and they're staying in. So this is most likely going to be a Psychic. I will shield it up and continue to farm. Anytime your opponent stays in like this for a good amount of time after you've brought in your safe swap, it kind of indicates that they don't have a direct response to it. They bring out a Azumarill and they shield up the Hurricane, which is a big shield on their part. And because they did so much counter damage to me with their Medicham, this puts me in Ice Beam plus Bubble Farm down range, which is actually really not good. Because I'm going to get farmed. And then I actually bring out my Stunfisk right here, and I'm just really hoping that they don't have Hydro. Because I know that my Stunfisk is going to be lined up with the Medicham anyways. And then, okay, big mistake right here. I got to the Earthquake energy. Why did I not throw Earthquake? Because I panic-clicked Rock Slide thinking that the bubble was going to KO. But arguably this leaves me lower health to be farmed, so... But still, definitely a panic play on my part. Out comes Medicham. I have to bring Venusaur onto this. This is really, really tough, because both Ice Punch and Psychic are going to hit for a lot of damage. So I do call the Ice Punch, which is good for me. But Medicham is obviously pretty rough against my team. My opponent, their play style is they they continuously try to catch my charge move, assuming that I'm just going to throw right on the amount that I get the energy. If you notice that they've attempted a sack swap every single time right when I reach that amount of energy. Unfortunately, they're just going to save the shield for Metacham, because that is definitely their win con. They get a counter here, and I'm going to lose this game. Obviously, I had an unfavorable lead, but I think my opponent played really, really well. I fail a catch there. That was my only win condition, is attempting to catch a move from the Metacham, and so very, very nice plays by my opponent here. Okay, mirror match. Technically, I have 2 Pokemon in the back that can also handle Stunfisk. I lose CMP here. I do shield up the Rock Slide, unfortunate for me. I'm going to also mirror with a Rock Slide bait here. It gets shielded. We're on even energy. I'm going to go for another Rock Slide bait. I'm continuing to lose CMP here, which is not really good. I shielded the Earthquake, which is big for me. That's great. That's terrible. They call my Rock Slide bait. So now this is just all sorts of bad. I'm going to go for this Earthquake here. If they shield, they can win the lead. Really bad for me. And I should have attempted a catch right there. But if I failed a catch of the Earthquake on my Pelipper, I would have been double Rock Slided. So I'm bringing out Pelipper here. Arguably, the safer play is to bring out Venusaur. I'm over farming a little bit. Gonna get to this Weather Ball. I have a lot of loaded energy. I feel like energy on Pelipper is a little bit more universal. Oh man, and unfortunately it is a Skarmory in the back, so this is a very tough backline for me to handle. Here's what I should have done differently, right? So there's a Skarmory in the back. This is totally my bad. This is totally my fault that I lost this game, because if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're stuck against a Skarmory, or you're stuck against something that beats both your Pokemon in the back, that's your fault for not baiting it out. I should have made my swap into Pelipper sooner in the game, and this would have naturally brought out the Skarmory, and my Venusaur would have been able to avoid it. So this is on me. I can't even be upset that I'm stuck against a Skarmory in the back because I didn't bait it out with my Pelipper. And unfortunately, I'm just barely not able to get to that Weather Ball. If I was, there still would have been some play there, depending on what they had in the back, but good plays of my opponent. Okay, Abomasnow wins this in the 2 shield, going straight Weather Ball. And I have no mobility here. I can't really switch into anything, because if my Venusaur is stuck against this when shields are still up, it's really bad for me. So I'm trying to sneak in an extra Mud Shot wherever I can, but my opponent easily outpaces me to these moves. They let this go. Thank goodness. At this point, I'm fairly committed to just sacking my Stunfisk here, but I might go for an aggressive play into Pelipper. No, I'm going to let it go down. Oh man, this Abomasnow is still going to rip off so much damage. I'm not going to shield this. I'm just hoping that Venusaur has play against what's in the back. I'm expecting a water type, because they need to protect it. Okay, well there is Azumarill. It could be a Lowland Marowak in the back, which is also pretty bad. And if that is the case, I need to save my Pelipper. At this point, I'm kind of thinking that it might be an Alolan Marowak in the back to protect against counter users. So I'm going to save. I think I'm going to continue to farm and try to save these Weather Balls in case it is an AWAC. And I was correct. It ended up being an Alolan Marowak. And so all the energy that I saved on my Pelipper is going to be really, really nice. If I can burn the shield here with AWAC, there's a good chance that I can still win this game. But they're no shielding. Then I think they overtapped and then allowed me to get to this Frenzy Plant. So, prime example of like my opponent made a mistake and fumbled and allowed me to win this game. But just as frequently, like I'm the one making the mistakes and fumbling and giving my opponent win conditions. So it happens at all of the ratings there. Okay, oh my gosh. The second that I see this is the best lead that I could ever ask for. If I lose this game, I'm going to be so ashamed of myself. Very favorable. They overtapped, and then they bring out Politoed, and I'm able to hard punish it with the Venusaur. I have hard counters aligned. There should be no reason why I lose this game. I do shield up the Earthquake just in case it was a blizzard. I undercharged the Frenzy. They actually end up shielding here, which is super strange. I don't know why they shielded this. And then I know that this is just a Weather Ball, so I don't need a shield. It's a very strange shield, so I'm just over farming. I know this is going to be another Weather Ball. No need for me to throw. I'm going to throw here because obviously I don't want to get hit by another Weather Ball, but now I have stored energy to threaten the Galvantula. I have the counters aligned where I need them to be. There should be no way that I lose this. Oh, what the heck am I doing? What the heck am I doing? Why am I over farming? I had the Sludge Bomb ready. For some reason, I thought that this Galvantula was going to fully commit to the farm down, so I didn't end up throwing. Really dumb play. But it's okay. I still have the counters aligned. They have their own G-Fisk in the back. I'm ahead on energy. I swap on my Pelipper to hopefully catch an Earthquake, but I catch a bait. I catch a bait. I catch a Rock Slide. Not good, but they are dumping all their energy here, and I knew that Pelipper was just going to be a sacrifice anyway, because it had no play against their Galvantula. I'm farming up a little bit more, knowing that their energy dry. This Earthquake will be able to take out the Stunfisk, and then I'm able to take out the Galvantula. But I obviously had extremely hard counters there and still made some sloppy plays. It's kind of weird that they shielded on their Politoed against my Venusaur, but good game. Okay, fairly neutral lead here. Obviously, Venusaur needs to avoid this, so I don't have any mobility. I need to stay in this matchup. I shield up the Shadow Bone. That's good for me. My defense falls. This kind of flips the matchup into their favor. Not good for me at all. I'm just going straight Rock Slide here, but I know that they can win Switch if they want to. They shield that up. This is not good. Because my defense fell, even this Bone Club most likely probably going to take me out. No, they just go straight Shadow Bone. So I'm going to bring in Pelipper, and I'm going to farm down. They give up Switch advantage there, and they bring out Umbreon. So this is kind of interesting. Obviously, I'm bringing Venusaur on this because it has a more solid matchup against Umbreon. But I'm really curious as to what they have in the back. They led with the Lowland Marowak, so they're weak to dark types. Maybe Umbreon is their safe swap, and they could have a Fighter or an Azumarill in the back. Something that can beat dark types is what I'm assuming. I should not have shielded. Oh, man. Yeah, this is really bad. And then I attempted to catch a move on my Pelipper, which I did end up doing, but I should have stored a Sludge Bomb before making that move, and then they catch on their Marowak. They catch on their Marowak, which is just an amazing play by them. It's just an amazing play by them. They had a good feeling of when I was going to throw that Hurricane, and they made a really nice catch. Good game to them. All right, this is a very favorable lead for me. What am I doing? This team does not have a direct response to a Defense Deoxys safe swap. And it took me a couple games where I've lost like this, where I've lost to a Defense Deoxys safe swap with this team, to understand I need to just go into Venusaur right away. Reason being, Venusaur is bad against Altaria, and the counters are resisted on Venusaur, and you can live one Psycho Boost. But because I'm staying in here so long, my opponent is able to continuously farm up energy, and they shield the Earthquake. Now I really can't make a move. They have 100 energy. So if I bring my Venusaur onto this, which I tried to do right there, thank goodness they're dumping some energy right here. But our switch clocks are so desynced that they're just going to be able to get into Altaria pretty soon here. I have no idea what's in the back. It could be their own Azu. I throw this Frenzy Plant immediately so I can take out this Deoxys. Out comes the Altaria. It is going to get a hefty farm, and I stayed in so long with my Galarian Stunfisk that I absorbed too much counter damage. This team does not have a direct response to a Defense Deoxys. It doesn't have a hard counter, which is why I was so slow to make a decision, which is why I'm in such a terrible position here. And they recognized that the switch clock still would have been out of alignment. It's actually a Blastoise in the back, which I was definitely not expecting. I miss a bubble on the Hurricane, but it gets shielded anyways. I have 2 shields, but the Altaria is still so healthy, and my G-Fisk is pretty low. I have to shield this. If I can land a Hurricane on the Altaria, that's really, really good for me. I overfarmed just a little bit more. I really don't want to get hit by another move there. So I throw this Hurricane, and then I insta-swap to my G-Fisk. I need to get this Rock Slide off, but look at what happens. I get hit by the Sky Attack. They actually have 2 Sky Attacks stored because they farmed my Venusaur so hard because the switch clocks were out of alignment, and I'm just barely not able to get to a Hurricane. This would have been another clean cut win for me if I would have immediately brought my Venusaur out onto that Defense Deoxys. Favorable lead for me, super hard counter switch in for me. I'm letting whatever this is go through because I don't want to be farmed as much by Jirachi. So now I will throw the Frenzy Plant. I just have to maintain the alignment here. It might be double water in the back, Jirachi double water. So out comes the Jirachi. This Frenzy Plant is resisted, but it's still going to hit for a good amount of damage here. And my opponent's definitely just going to farm me all the way down, but they are stuck in like very hard counters. That's unfavorable for them. They have Machamp in the back, and thank goodness Pelipper is going to be a really, really solid response here. So I should be able to win this game. I knew that they were just going for Cross Chop because I only counted to 5, so I didn't need to shield that. And my G-Fisk is just going to cleanly be able to beat the Jirachi. So prime example of me just allowing like the team comp to work itself out. Shielding when you have to. If your opponent shields, you can mirror your own shields. Just because you have a favorable team comp alignment doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to win. We've seen me lose plenty of times when I easily should have won the game based on team comp. So it is important that when you do have a favorable team comp, you're still making fast swaps, you're still aware of your opponent's energy, all that stuff. Good game to my opponent. Alright. Let's see what happens here this time. Obviously, Venusaur needs to avoid this. This is a Hex Marowak. So, Fire Spin. The Hex is not hitting me for super effective damage. There's the Deoxys again. Now, this time, I'm just going to throw the Earthquake, and I should immediately bail into Venusaur. Yes, I do. So, slightly better play this time. Slightly better play. I know I can survive one Psycho Boost, but they actually throw Rock Slide here. I'm going to throw this Frenzy Plant. Once again, I know that the Marowak has Hex, so they cannot farm my Venusaur as hard. I'm going to let this Rock Slide go through. I'm assuming that they don't have Psycho Boost. I'm just going to go for this Frenzy. I don't want to risk getting hit by another move or getting hit by Psycho Boost. That'd be really bad. Out comes the AWAC. It is much more difficult for them to farm down with Hex. I will most likely get to another Frenzy Plant if they fully commit to farming down. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, they're going to throw. Oh, my gosh. They're going to throw. I've only seen Bone Club so far. I have no idea what the secondary move is. I was assuming Shadow Ball, but I'm going to let this go through. It's another Bone Club. I have no idea what this is. This is another Bone Club, and I survive it. I might make a switch into Pelipper right here and start farming. Yes, I do. It's an Azu in the back. Now, in the one shield, I should be able to win this going straight Hurricane if I don't let an extra bubble go through. So we'll see. I shield up the Hurricane, which is obviously unfortunate for me. I do get an extra wing attack through, which is nice. Let the Ice Beam go through. And they have another one already, so this is pretty bad. Yeah, this is pretty bad. Bad timing right there. Bad timing on my part because they got a little bit of free energy there. I need to be able to get to this Weather Ball. I'm able to get there, which is good for me. And then I really need to land a Weather Ball on the AWAC or get a Rock Slide off on the AWAC. They're trying to Hex me down, but they're not able to do it. And I'm just really hoping that they don't have a Bone Club stored. Bone Club doesn't take me out, so I just switch into my G-Fisk to rockslide them. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and that we can both learn from my mistakes here. Everyone makes mistakes. I never try to hide it or cover it up. But thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video.